All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Clear for 8 podcast, Final Fantasy 14 podcast, talking about everything Final Fantasy 14. Here today, as usual, it's me, Knox, Clarissa, and Sujak.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
And let's go into our any weekly recap for everyone.
I guess mostly tea. Here we
Yep.
are.
Mm-hmm.
Pi Day happened. In case you were all wondering about that. And I dabbled into designing someone else's Final Fantasy house. This is the first time for me, so that was kind of interesting and new and exciting.
Ooh. Anyone we know?
It's Stanley.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Well, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
I look forward to checking it out since Stan is my neighbor.
my gosh.
I need to focus on my house. I have been neglecting my poor house.
I'm open for free comms.
Oh boy.
So it's like, what do I give you? I'm like, nothing. I offered, so here you are. Here's your house.
Yeah, I just need to. Yeah, I don't even know what I would want out of my house. I just want like a cozy spot.
Cozy spot.
Yep, because right now, I mean, you've seen it. I leave the door open because I don't care. I have no shame. It's just I threw up. What are those? The display cases.
Yeah.
I just chucked my toys in there that I had.
I mean, that's a good spot for them.
Yeah.
That's what it's for.
But that's it though. That's the house, and then I've got a couple vendors in there, the summoning bell, and that's about it. I don't have. It's not decorated. It's not anything. Just a house.
It's a work in progress.
It is.
I'd have to be working on it for that to be true.
Oh, you're thinking about the design.
I have contemplated it. I just I know it's gonna take a while, so I haven't bothered. But I should jump into that. Maybe when you're done with Stans, get a little consulting work.
Something. Oh, let's see. How about you, Clarissa?
I've been very busy finalizing FanFest plans, so I'm probably gonna actually hunker down and just bite the bullet and get my plane tickets this weekend sometime. And actually this Sunday there's going to be a concert that isn't directly linked to FanFest. That's going to be the Sunday after FanFest. So I'm gonna try to rush and grab tickets for that. I'm not quite sure if the website will break. I'm kind of working under the assumption that it will. So my group, we're kind of going in okay, we're gonna buy at least 2 tickets to make sure everyone has a fair chance in getting a spot so we can attend this. So yeah, I hope it won't be a bloodbath.
It will be.
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah, I'm thinking it will. Thank you. I'll need it.
Because I feel like you're gonna be fighting with that. Not only the people that are already at FanFest, but the people that are sort of local to the area too. That'll be like, I'll be there. I'm gonna buy a ticket.
I'm gonna be going in with my phone and my computer and my laptop. So we'll see.
Get a whole team, just little fold-up tables, just everybody.
Yeah, that's kind of what it's looking like.
Yep.
I wish I could go to that. Well, we talked about it last podcast because I even said I would love to go see the concerts. That would be the dream. I don't even care about the rest, FanFest and everything, whatever. I just want to go see live music like that. I would love it, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, to see the Primals would be so cool.
Oh, yeah, I'm very excited.
I didn't even think about that. I want to see the orchestra.
Oh, yeah. True, that would be cool.
And Soken jamming with the orchestra, hopefully, that would just that's what I want to see.
Yep, that'd be really cool.
I've never been into rock bands that much. I don't know. I know the Primals are different. They would be more interesting than pretty much any rock band for me.
Yeah.
from a live perspective, but I love orchestral music and I would love to hear it live. I've never gotten to, so other than high school band stuff that I saw, and that doesn't really. They were good. Don't get me wrong. Just in case anyone from my high school is listening,
Oh boy,
doubt.
they're gonna
But
get you.
they were good, but they were high school. Like that's not
Mhm. There's
not
a
a pro
obvious
orchestra.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So today's topic we're going to be
Mhm.
talking about is rating in Final Fantasy XIV, the game that we love, and there's a free trial for.
Mhm. Mhm.
Talk about rating, like how to get into it, how to start, what are some things you might want to know heading into it, or maybe you're, a veteran and you're like, yep, this is like my 5th raid tier and, blah, blah, blah. So,
I have to say before we quite get into this, it's like this stuff is kind of hard right now from our perspective because we're already in it. So even like because I think about this because the last podcast was about new players and what new players might want to know, and I even thought of extra things afterwards that we didn't think about or I didn't think about, whatever, that just, oh man, this little tidbit would have been great. And I guess it's hard as experienced players at this point to give new player advice. So if you guys have a way, find us on the Twitter. It's in the comments or in the description and everything. Go find us on there. If you're on YouTube, like leave a comment. Like let us know what you guys want to know, what questions you have, because we can't think of every question. We try.
no,
We try our best, but
we do.
Yeah.
I'd also like to point out that the 3 of us here, we are also on the other end of the spectrum. We are not world first racers. We are not week
no.
1 clearers. We are, your probably run of the mill average, like high end rating person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we're not quite casual, but we're also not super hardcore by any means.
Yep.
So yeah, we're in this. I don't know. We're in this gray area, so to speak.
The
Mid-core,
medium,
you think?
mid-core.
I don't. Do we qualify as that?
Yeah, it's we'll
Casual,
get
mid-core?
into labels and stuff later, and like there's a lot of different definitions that float around the community.
Yeah, there is. But I guess okay. Now that I've segued us horribly with but I really wanted that out there that like we try to answer everything we can. So I wanted to get it near the beginning here before we lose anyone randomly or something. Like, hey, we're trying, but if you have a question and you think of something we didn't think of, yeah, let us know. We're open to maybe having a correction section and adding things, and yeah. Let us know. But anyways, getting into rating, I guess that's the first place to start, right?
Yep.
So, all right, you're leveling. You're excited about rating. Yeah, this is actually kind of an interesting thing because you could start doing some of the activities before you ever get to max level.
Yeah, that is true.
And I guess the first place we would all recommend starting if you want to get into harder content is to start with extremes.
Yep.
That's about not hard modes. If you're new and you're hitting level 50 and you see that, wow, that's a hard mode. No, it's not. They
like a
called it.
dungeon?
They had hard mode
Yeah,
dungeons and
part.
trials.
Oh, right.
The
Oh, I forgot about that.
the
Yeah.
original 3 trials that were 4-man, they have the 8-man version that are labeled as hard. I'm doing air quotes every time I say hard, by the way. It's
Yeah.
that difficulty is basically the base difficulty moving forward. Or you Sujak, sorry, it sounded like you were about to
Oh, no. I just say, yeah, I guess when we talk about, quote, hard, yeah, it was just, I think, an earlier A Realm Reborn sort of a relic of the past.
Yeah,
Because there isn't anything, quote, hard beyond A Realm Reborn.
I think there's some hard mode dungeons in Heavensward.
Oh.
I think.
Actually, I think there might be some in Stormblood, too.
Yeah,
I'm
don't
like,
remember.
man,
It
I
was
need
a
to boot up
weird
my
thing. They
game.
didn't really do it.
It kind of fell
It-
off.
yeah, it's not a thing in Shadowbringers or Endwalker at all. It's
No,
gone.
it did. So, quote, the hard piece, like, yeah, it's pretty much normal, extreme for a trial, normal raid, and then like savage raid.
Hmm.
Yeah, There's not really any hard mode dungeons now,
Criterion, I guess.
but that's so separate.
It
Yeah.
is very separate.
But yes, that would be the harder version of dungeons would be Criterion at this stage, which is cool.
Mhm.
I don't think any of us have truly dedicated time. You guys did some runs, but I haven't gotten to do them.
Yeah, we did another Sildon Subterrane. We didn't try the Savage version yet, but we did clear the other, like the medium version of it.
Yep.
I still need to do that part.
But yeah, I guess if you're a new player and you want to get into raiding, you will see in your duty finder that there are raids, normal raids, usually split up by each expansion. And once you finish the sort of normal raid series, you can unlock the savage tier of it. And I guess to also caveat is that the normal raids won't just magically appear in your duty finder when you hit a certain level. There are actually quests to go and unlock the raid tiers for each expansion.
Yep.
So like the Coils of Bahamut, which is a Realm Reborn, that's a quest. 60 is Alexander. 70 is Omega.
Yep.
And then Shadowbringers is Eden, and then Endwalker is obviously
Pandemonium?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
And so those are I'll start with quests to unlock.
blue quests specifically.
Yep.
They're all blue.
Mhm.
So easy to
Easy
find
to
wherever they are.
find.
I can't remember
I don't know where
where.
exactly, but
Yeah, it's not
you can do
Yeah.
a search.
hit the Google or the Bing.
Oh
Please
my
don't
gosh.
use Bing. Don't do it.
Oh my gosh.
Powered by Chat GPT, whatever that's called. Thing.
But you could technically get into it's very rare for people running Savage and earlier tiers that are mid-eye level and synced, meaning that you're at the item level you would have been running it in the day, and your level is like sort of synced down to it. So you'd be playing those raid contents as if it were current. And you can do that. But it's not super popular. But there are groups that do that.
You could absolutely find a group to do it. Yeah, it's a thing. People do it. I'm interested in doing it sometime. But yeah, not typically something you're just gonna find in Party Finder.
Sorry. I guess as a new player as well, is like anything that is like extreme and above, like extreme or savage, ultimates, you don't use duty finder for that. You don't queue into it like, oh, we'll see if the game matches me with somebody. No, if you're on North America,
it's kind of interesting because Japan is apparently not like that.
They are not.
Yeah.
They
can duty find.
Yeah.
Savage, extreme.
That's like considered practice for them. That's like, yeah, you just go do duty finder and whatever. You run it, and it's not considered taboo like it is. People just don't do it in America. Well, the North American servers. I think Europe is the same way.
Yeah, I think it might be as well. But yeah, if you're in North America and you're gonna do extreme, savage, or ultimate, or
well, I would say on the extremes, I've accidentally done it.
Yeah.
Mostly because I meant to run it unsynced and I accidentally didn't check the box to run it unsynced alone, so I just queued. I accepted the queue because it always pops up, but I was a healer, so it insta-queued anyway, so
Oh.
I didn't even notice. There was no time delay. I clicked the button, it popped up. I was like, all the plan. Clicked yes, loaded into Shiva. Why am I not alone? Why are there other people here?
Oh my god.
Yep. And then that took like an hour.
It didn't. It only took us. Yeah, I walked through. We wiped I think 3 or 4 times, and then we beat it. It took all maybe 25 minutes.
That's
Something like
pretty
that.
good.
Yeah,
Sometimes
I was
those
just.
can be brutal.
I just had to. We had to yell at the tanks a bit. Basically, don't point it at the group because she does an AOE cleave. Don't point it at the group. If you are a
Yeah.
tank running a fight with an ice lady, don't point it at the group.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, but for the most part, just run
Yeah.
your extremes. Extremes, Unreal, Ultimate, Savage. Just look in Party Finder.
Yep.
That
Even if it's
is-
old
yeah.
content too.
And I do think, old extremes, people will show up. I mean, I've randomly done runs where I'm just like, yo, I'm running these extremes blind. Let's do it. Let's take this boss out. That's literally what I typed. And people just showed up. I would fill groups in like 2 minutes. And we'd go run these older extremes. Some of the newer ones, that's a little it's a little iffy because they do get harder. But the
They
earlier
do.
ones, they're pretty easy. That's a good starting point. People will just join them in the Party Finder. You'll get other people like yourself who've never done them. And they want a laid back group because everybody's got that anxiety, that first time.
Mhm.
That people are going to be willing if you have a nice group. So if you just put out there, hey, first timer, just looking to, do this synced, having fun, people
Yeah.
will show up. You'll be able to do it.
Yep.
It's a good time, and it's a good intro to getting into the harder content.
Yeah. Extreme trials are definitely the way to sort of get your feet wet into mechanics that are gonna go a little faster.
Mhm.
Harder hitting raid wides, more of a damage check, making sure you're pressing your buttons in the right order. So extreme trials are a great way to sort of get into that.
Yeah, it's actually a thing I hadn't thought about. Extremes introduce DPS checks
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
because there's enrages and stuff. So
Yep.
yeah, it a good barometer of, are we doing this right? Just are
Yeah.
we doing the game right in general?
Yep. I would say normal raids are okay if you want to like sort of get used to the mechanics and movement of like higher end rating. Normal raids are okay. They are paced a lot slower than
Very.
Savage.
And a lot more forgiving.
Yeah. I typically use normal raids now as sort of like almost like a target dummy.
Yeah.
For a job, just to see like how much damage I could do. Maybe I need to change like a sequence or timing or something or whatever. But a lot of times I'll use normal raid as like a target dummy.
I've done that as well. It's a great spot to go in, deal with a few mechanics, and get just an idea of where you are at with certain things. But yeah, they're not. I don't know, they're good for new players, obviously, but they are a step below an extreme.
Yeah.
Because they're extremely forgiving. There's no enrage. I've had it where like all but 2 people were down and we recovered and kept going. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. So you can't do that even in extreme or anything. Normals are
Yeah.
very much because they want the average player to absolutely be able to finish it.
Yeah.
So they're not a big skill check.
No,
And
but
then,
it is a good way to see if
but
you're.
They are a good barometer to
Yep.
just, if you can survive that, and if you're doing any calculator work with your damage, you could use it as a barometer for
Yep.
where you stand on, are you playing your class well? And there's going to be low pressure, relatively low mechanics. So yeah, it is definitely a good way to go in and test yourself.
Mhm.
Oh, what were you gonna say, Clarissa?
I was just gonna say, if you're looking to maybe try to get your feet wet with a specific Savage, if you run the normal version of the Savage fight that you're interested in, you'll usually see kind of the general gimmicks of that specific fight. They will be slightly different and a little bit more difficult in Savage, but you'll get to kind of see what you'll be looking at later on for Savage and normal.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, you will get that little introduction with a bunch of the mechanics.
Yeah. I guess I'm curious, how did you all start? Like, what was your sort of path getting into like Savage raiding and beyond?
I got to max level and literally stood up from my chair, put my hands on my hips, and said, "Now I get to play the game."
Oh my gosh.
I was just barreling to max level just so I could do end game. That was my only, that's what I wanted in my life, was to raid in this game and check it out. So I got there. I did all the trials and stuff. Not all of them, actually. I didn't know some of the trials existed. I was so new, but I immediately went and started unlocking the normal raids. I think I maybe did 1 or 2 extremes, and then I went, like, I talked to my FC, got them all ready to raid, like, "Hey, we're gonna raid, guys," and they were like, "Oh, okay, who are you?" And I'm like, "I'm new here, we're gonna raid." And we jumped into Savages. So that was how I started raiding, and that's why I don't even know the word for it, weaving 21 abilities before my first GCD.
Gosh. I mean, we've all been there.
Hashtag Astro things.
Playing cards like it's a GCD.
Yep. That was me. I didn't know. Once I knew, obviously I corrected that, but yeah, that was the whole thing. But that's how I got into it. I just kind of dove into but it was, so when I got to raiding, for anyone, newer, there is 1 through 12 of the raids. And so when I started raiding, all 12 were out. But the raids are released in sets of 4. So you get 1 through 4, 5 through 8, and then 9 through 12. And that's how the raids are released. So that first 1 through 4 is going to be much easier to do than the 9 through 12 is, because once 9 through 12 is out, you can get gear that's way better than you could even get in the first set. So you'll be overgeared. So my first Savage experience, while it was my first endgame raiding experience at all was Savage. While it was Savage, it was 2 tiers below me. So we were incredibly overgeared, which made it a bit more forgiving than it would have been.
Yeah. That's also a good way to sort of start into it. That you're a bit overgeared, but you still have to honor the mechanics too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, you still had to do it right.
What about you, Clarissa?
I kind of started the extreme route, so I was into mount farming. So I started at the Realm Reborn mounts. I think they were like horses or something. So that's super easy stuff. I'm just running the Realm Reborn extremes, unsyncing them, killing them in maybe 10 seconds, maybe a little bit more, because at the time I didn't have super great gear, so I'd grab a few people who were also mount farming and we form a party and get all of our horses, and I just kind of worked my way up until I got to what was current, and that was, it definitely raised the bar as far as difficulty and mechanics and DPS checks. The first real challenging extreme that I did that was current was Emerald Weapon, and the group that I was playing with at the time, we were literally hitting the enrage because our DPS was not high enough. We were all pretty new to the game, so we probably weren't using optimal openers and all of that stuff. Our buffs probably weren't aligned, so we weren't putting out enough DPS. But eventually, we did kind of learn and get better at the game, and we were able to beat that. And as we kind of improved, we kind of wanted more out of the game. At least I did. And then that's when I kind of learned about how gearing worked, and I'm like, oh man, I really want to be able to get the best gear that I can get. And then I'm like, okay, I have to do savages for that. And and then it's like, okay, hey guys, we should try to do savage. And we tried to do one of the it was around the time Eden came out. So we were sort of behind, but not so behind that no one was running the stuff. Um but our gear was not miles better, so like we had to be careful with some of the stuff. We had some success in like the first, I think it would have been like the first, or it was the second tier in Eden, first fight. We had success with that, and then we kind of had trouble. We skipped one of them because it was insane and no one liked it. And then we kind of got stuck on another. I'm not being specific in case people don't want spoilers, but we got stuck on another one. And kind of gave up, and we're like, okay, let's just wait until the next tier comes, and then we'll be like 100% current with it. So then that's kind of when we got more serious about it. Kind of learned the weekly lockout sort of deal, geared everyone up properly, and that's when I'm like, okay, we have to be masters at our jobs. We have to have our openers down. We have to align our 2-minute burst windows, and that's kind of how I ended up where I am now.
Wow. Let's see. I got to 90, or sorry, I got to 80 right before Endwalker came out. So I definitely didn't hit any of the Shadowbringers content when it was current. So then Endwalker came out, I finished the main story quest, and I was like, yeah, we want to raid. That sounds cool. Like, I don't want to be super hardcore, like sweaty. I just, something casual would be nice. Um, and silly. I was like, yeah, like one night a week would be cool or something. Um, and so I found Nox's Reddit post for casual. I think it was like casual static, looking for these players, like new players welcome kind of thing. And I was like, oh, okay, that sounds great. So I hit Nox up for that, and it's like savage. Like I had never done an extreme trial at this point either, so this is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so like our first night out, we hopped into an extreme trial, and yeah, we did it. Looking back at it, I played absolutely like terribly because I didn't know really what I was doing. Um,
What did we even
but
do?
yeah, we did well. I don't want to spoilers
Give
too
it
hard.
a vague enough that I'll know what the heck it is, though. Wait, was it Red Guy?
It was Blue Woman.
Mm.
Oh. I think I know what you're talking about. The
Yeah.
I want to say a certain word, but I don't know.
I'm not gonna say. I know what. Is this thing Crystal?
Oh.
It was like Endwalker trial number.
Oh, why am I thinking? I was still thinking
Okay.
Shadowbringers.
No, it's Endwalker.
I know what you're talking
so
about.
now I know what you're talking about. Now you don't have to
Yeah.
say anymore. I know exactly.
Okay.
I
I'm
was
like-
thinking back to Shadowbringers, like, who,
Oh no,
what?
Same.
Blue Woman
No.
in Shadowbringers? Like, no, we were an Endwalker. I recruited you back then. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's what we did. We did that.
So yeah, we did that to start out with,
Yeah.
and I was just absolutely terrible. But we made it through. And then of course we started the first Savage tier of Endwalker with us, a very casual static, like one day a week. So we really just are like, yeah, let's, have fun, do our best, and just try and clear content at one day a week for 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours. I think it's something like that. And yeah, that's where I started. Quickly realized that time, that like 2 hours a week, was not gonna cut it to like prog and clear. So we kind of had like a moment as a group, like, well, do we need to up our hours?
I would say you could do it. I could. If the only way you could do it like that is if, like, okay, so you've got, P1 to P4. You're going to prog it like that. The only way you're going to pull that off is, like, you finish P1 and you just farm P1 until you're done. Everyone's fully got everything from that fight, and then go to P2. Prog it, clear it, grind it until you get everything, then go to P3, and just like one fight at a time, because that's your only shot. I'm not even saying that's going to go great.
Yeah.
But that's the only way, because there's no way you could actually do re-clears effectively
Yeah.
and prog the next fight. You would have to cut out the re-clear part completely.
Yeah. Well, we quickly realized that 1 day a week was not going to cut it if we wanted to, like, progress and quicker.
Yeah, it's tough. 2 a week is, I think, the minimum, even for a casual group.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think, I guess going into raid definitions, like, I would say casual would be about 4 to 6 hours a week.
Yeah, I was going to say about the same.
And then you start getting to more like semi-casual, mid-core, semi-mid-core, which would be like, I don't know, 6 to 9 hours a week.
I would broaden it a little bit and even say 6 to 12.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because like we ran, because you could run like a 3 4-hour night groups, or 3-day 4-hour night groups, and then that's 12 hours. That's about a mid-core. I mean, that's the upper limit though. You're starting to get into some hardcore.
Yeah, I think any more than 12 hours a week, that is like a part-time job, and and then you're moving into hardcore. And then if you beyond hardcore, there's like week 1 world first racers, and they pretty much can go 8 12 hours a day.
Well, and the wild thing for them is that is a sprint.
Yeah.
Because unlike like the mid-core groups, you'll have that progression. But that's only a month or two, depending. But 2 months, I would say, is going to be your top end of doing that schedule of 12 hours a week. But the hardcore raiders, it's 12 plus hours a day. But that's basically for the first week, usually.
Yep.
And that's it. You're just done after that.
When you know it, and then you just do your re-clears for like 8 weeks, and then you're done.
Yep.
So, yeah, there's definitely varying levels. I think in some recruiting platforms, like either Discord, Reddit, xivrecruit.com, everyone has sort of different labels for casual, semi-casual, mid-core, semi-mid-core, hardcore. The main thing to look at in those recruitment posts is just see what do they expect. That's the main thing, is like, do our expectations align? So it could be someone that's saying like, oh, we're semi-hardcore, but maybe they're falling into the mid-core. But if you just read the expectations, like, does it jive with you?
Yeah, definitely look for that. And sometimes you even have to read between the lines with some groups, because they'll say, oh yeah, we're a casual group. But then they're like, please provide parse logs. What? I'm going to tell you right now, if a group is casual and says, show me your parse logs, they are not casual.
Probably not.
That is minimum a mid-core group. Because a casual group, my casual group, I didn't ask for logs. Why? It's casual. I'm not. My bar is pretty low. Hey, we're just chilling, raiding. Come on in.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I got in, because I obviously did not know about that. Didn't have it. Like if Nox asked me for that, I'd be like, huh? What are those?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had people like link me some, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Didn't ask, but that's cool.
That's cool.
I didn't really care. Well, and the other problem, I didn't have parse logs at that point either, because the only Savage I had done was from the older tiers where there was no longer a parse. They didn't keep parses on old tiers.
Yeah.
Well, specifically if so your parse log is there if you run it when it's live content, but if say the second set of raids releases, there will no longer be a record of you clearing the old tier. So if that makes sense, do you guys think that made sense? I know you guys know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
I think
It
for
makes sense to
logging,
me.
it's like the logs in which the content was current.
Yeah, it's only kept if it was current. Once it's not current, that log doesn't count anymore. Like you've got whatever you had from when it was current. So yeah, I didn't have any current logs. So I didn't have any
Yeah.
logs. I'm not gonna ask anyone for logs. I just come on in. And so yeah, we had a ragtag group of people.
Yeah.
And it was a good time though. But you have to watch for that because someone with asking for parse logs has an expectation, and they're not telling you what it is if they're not being clear in the rest of the post.
Yeah. I guess to clarify, when we're talking about logs and parsing, we are talking about a third-party tool which breaks TOS called ACT, or Active Combat Tracker. And what it is, it's like a damage meter. So if you come from WoW, it's like, damage meters, or I forgot what they call it these days, like recount or whatever the other one that people use now.
I know recount's
it's like
popular, yeah.
It's like that, but unfortunately for Final Fantasy, those break TOS. So if you do want to see how well you're doing in DPS in Final Fantasy, you can use ACT. However, it breaks TOS, so don't talk about it in game. Don't go out about advertising it or anything like that. Don't stream with it. Just it's, you yourself that knows.
Yeah, we actually had a whole conversation on that one in our plugins episode. So go check that out if you're a bit curious. They're really not a big deal to run. Because it's pretty easy to just not show it if you're streaming. Like, just put it somewhere, put it on another monitor, whatever, and no one would ever know. And don't be a dick about it. Like,
that's the main thing.
That's
is
about
like if you use parsing and logs to like bully someone or be like, you're not pulling your weight, your damage is poop, like that right there is terrible. Don't do that.
And that's mostly we're talking about in pickup groups, pugs and party finder, like in your own private static. If people are going to discuss it, that's kind of a different thing, I feel, because again, this goes to expectations of the group.
Yeah.
So if you're expected to perform a certain level, then yes, everyone's going to obviously bring up logs and stuff. But so that obviously don't think like no one's ever going to bring it up if you're in a static. Like, it probably at some point comes up, sure, but don't go into some pickup group, just randos and be like, yo, this guy's not parsing good, because then everyone's going to, whoa.
How do you know?
Yeah.
Excuse you, sir?
Yeah. You
Straight
just
to jail.
Yeah. You don't talk about it in game.
Yeah.
But in a static setting, so when we talk about statics, they're called static because it's like you're raiding with the same group throughout the content. And so typically there's sort of two ways you can go about approaching high-end raid content, is through a static with like a set group of people, or through Party Finder, in which you can party find, Savage and Ultimates. Depending on your perspective, it could be painful. The benefit of doing Party Finder, though, is you can pretty much prog at your own pace, and you're not set to a schedule.
Yep.
But it's also, you're just kind of thrown into the fishbowl of everybody.
Yeah.
I believe we did a deep dive on party finding raids in one of our previous episodes.
We did.
So if you guys are listening to this, go back and listen to some of our other stuff if you haven't already, because we actually
Mhm.
deep
We have
talked
gone
about like the pain of party finder.
Yeah, it can be painful. You can, luckily find a good group,
Oh yeah.
but I would say that's more on the rare than
Well,
the
it's
usual.
hit or miss. Just
Yeah,
yeah,
it is.
it's tough to do it consistently, because that even goes back to if you say, "Oh, I can only consistently show up one night a week. I'd rather party find on like my random days off." That's at the point where you could get into a casual group, and I'm sure that there was some group out there where you could get together a group and then people would be willing to party find just to do extra prog on random nights.
Yeah, that does
And
happen. I know
that
we've
could be
done
a valid progression.
Yep. I do know, I think one of the members in our Discord, they're not necessarily in Party Finder, but they're in this sort of like community where everyone sort of, from the group of people, you sort of make a group, and it's a pickup group type thing, but everyone is kind of in this group and can just kind of show up when they need to.
Yep.
It's like,
So that's definitely helpful if you've got like a group of people where maybe you have more than 8 people or your schedules don't really align in a great way. You can just kind of like throw out like, hey guys, I'm gonna be progging this savage. We're looking for these roles. Come join when you can, sort of thing. And it's had success. I think it definitely helps to kind of not, I don't want to say like limit the people in there, but like you have a bit of curation with who's actually like in that community, so you'll weed out any kind of like, I guess, like rude people you might run across, or like some of the red flag type people.
Hmm.
yeah,
But it's definitely a valid way to progress in the tier.
yep.
Speaking
Yeah.
of, sorry, you go ahead. What were you?
Oh, I was just kind of gonna segue into like, finding a static and like how would that go about?
That's
But
kind of
you
where I
can.
was going to. No, that's.
Oh,
I was gonna
same
jump straight
brain.
towards red and green flags, but yeah, no, the overarching finding a static. I mean, that's gonna lead into.
Yeah. So finding a static, there's a lot of different ways you can go about it. Like for Clarissa, for example, we found her through Party Finder because we were missing
Yep.
a spot. We needed a fill for a night, so we listed in Party Finder, found Clarissa. She really jived with us. We were like, please, please stay with us. Um, and so that's how we found Clarissa in our static. But there are other ways you can go about static, either from a recruitment perspective, of like a static looking to fill, or you're a person looking for a static. There's Reddit /FFXIV recruitment. There's the Discord of Final Fantasy XIV recruitment. There's xivrecruit.com, which is kind of newer, but it seems to have a nice UI and kind of a better filtering and matchmaking system. The only caveat is there isn't a ton of people on it. Um,
I hadn't even heard of it yet, to be honest.
yeah, I posted for our T static in there, and I actually did get some hits, but I could actually find it was easier for me to find like individuals looking for a T, um, rather than combing through like posts and posts of Reddit. I could actually see like, oh, this person's actually looking for a T and they're this role. But yeah, when you are looking to maybe join a static, it might be a whole group of strangers. And you might
Hmm.
and it's important to read through like their descriptions and what they're looking for, and do you think you would fit with those expectations? Which I guess could kind of lead into process recruiting and sort of red and green flags on a recruitment post.
I would say from just before we jump into that, you can also on like the Reddit, and it seems obviously on this 14 recruiter. If you're new and it can be difficult to find a group that just outright says, "Hey, we're taking new players. I specifically put that in there because I knew, like, yo, no, I want those people looking because we're kind of casual, we're chilling. So, but a lot of people won't put that in there. So don't be afraid to put yourself out and just say, hey, I'm new. I really want to do this. Anyone willing to take me while I'm learning the game? And there will be people out there willing to do that. The other people are learning too. When I was recruiting and kind of raid leading early on, that was my first time actually trying to raid current tier. That I was still learning how to play the game properly. So like you're gonna you'll find someone. There's gonna be people out there, and sometimes just putting yourself out there helps out. Because there could be people on the fence, and they're like, man, maybe I'll ask some of my friends, and then wait, there's this new guy. He's willing. I'll give them a shot. Like that's Don't be afraid to do that.
Yeah, or just find yourself an extroverted friend to do it for you.
True. Recruit your friends. That
Like make friend with extrovert, have extrovert find static for you.
Mm-hmm.
They will adopt you.
Hello, this is my son. He's looking to raid.
God.
Gosh. But yeah, I guess in terms of recruitment too, depending on what sort of level the static is, either casual, midcore, hardcore, I'd say once you start venturing into midcore, hardcore, and beyond, they're gonna want you to trial with them,
Mm-hmm.
which can have different flavors depending on who they are. It could be running an extreme trial, it could be running a savage raid, and just seeing like how you perform, how you fit with the team, how are you communicating, that type of thing.
Yep, I remember we did trials with my group before the current tier that's out. And let me tell you, recruiting for midcore, that's not fun.
Oh boy.
Because, okay, so here's why. Casual groups, you're not even going to bother trialing typically. Like you might do it just to, let's go have some fun. Let's see if they're fun with us. Are they jiving with the group, whatever. How are the vibes? I guess as Gen Z would put it.
Oh my god.
But yeah, the casual, easy. Hardcore, obviously there's going to be some more effort, but I also think it's easy because you definitely know what you're looking for. Like, we're looking for a world firster. You're not cutting it. Get them out. That's it. Next.
Yeah.
But
I feel like hardcore world first racers, like the community is small, number one.
mhm.
And then number two, they'll look at your flugs, your logs,
Mhm.
and even they might just look at them and be like, sorry, didn't hit orange, goodbye.
Yep.
So
But then you've got midcore.
the gray area.
Because you've got midcore raids that try to act like they're world firster raids.
Oh no.
That's not a good no.
That's not a good look.
Yeah, and hey, looking for purple parses only. What?
No.
You raid twice a week.
Yep.
But then on the other flip side, you've got groups where they're like green to gray parsers, which by the way, you can clear with green and gray parses.
You can.
Don't be zero parses. That's
not great.
Not great. Less than ideal for sure.
Yeah,
but
you should probably try to be like double digits at least.
Yeah, if I would even say as long as the majority of the group is double digits, because you can get some single digits on early clears. I've had it. People died. It's just chaos.
Yeah.
You'll get some single digits, but in general, as long as people can consistently get into double digits, even if it's gray, I'm living proof. You can clear. I had some rough clears.
I mean, you do have some curse sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can
We've
be a
all
bit
had
cursed.
them.
But yeah, as long as people can push into double digits, just be 10 and up, you're gonna clear. It's definite. I've seen mostly gray clears. It's a thing.
Yeah,
You can do it. So it's not that you would think casual groups are going to be like that, but mid-cores can too, and it's okay. You're as long as you're killing the boss, and
Yeah.
people aren't thinking, well, I want to do my parse run. Well, like, but that's where mid-core gets these weird.
It can.
You can get some weird mixes of people, and like when you're trialing, that's where it gets rough because it's like, well, we're at this level, and people sign up thinking, oh, they'll be cool, but then we're not quite at the level they think we should be, or what? It's just a mess.
Mhm.
Mid-core can be a real mess to recruit and
It
find the group that
can.
fits.
I think so. For me, for context, I raid lead with Claire. Nox is sadly not in our static, but I raid lead, and when I recruit, I make it very clear, like, because we are mid-core, and there's a very large band of like mid-core definition,
Hmm.
and I'll put the hours that we're gonna raid each week. That's usually 9. Although we only did 6 hours last Savage Tier, so
We did
props to
pretty
us.
darn good.
We did pretty good in clearing time with 6 hours of raid, and like we had some weeks with break. But anyway, I make it very clear in our posts that we are mid-core. We're raiding this many hours a week, and I will say, in terms of like performance, I'll say like consistent green.
Hmm.
That's good enough. Good enough. And then the expectations of like looking up fights beforehand, and like if you need more help on a mechanic, then do some more study time. But otherwise, like for mid-core, that's kind of what I would expect, because people do have jobs, they have lives. You can't expect everyone to be sort of the like sweaty world first week 1 raider.
Yep, especially in a mid-core setting that
Yeah. Yeah.
But I could, yeah. It's the more clear a recruitment post is, the better, and it can be tough.
Mhm.
To I don't know, to find that perfect fit, especially because someone might just not have thought of everything to put in the
Yeah.
post. So I would say is if you're applying to a group, you shouldn't be afraid to ask questions of the raid leader for like
for sure.
clarification and stuff.
Mhm.
And if the raid leader, like after 2 questions, like, you know what, whatever, like, that's your red flag. Don't bother with them.
Oh gosh.
Because I could see that there's some people like, look, maybe this isn't the group for you since you have so many questions. Well, no, it's
Oh.
not. Bye.
No.
You can-
No. Yeah, it definitely, when there's if you're trialing a static or going through a recruitment process, it's definitely a time for you to be like, do I like them? It's not necessarily like,
Mhm.
oh, I hope they like me. Like, do you like them?
Mhm.
Are they a good fit for you? Or do you foresee like maybe it might feel like sandpaper some days? Like, if your gut's saying no, then just say like, nah, not for me. It's okay.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it's a video game. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a
if
video
if
game.
it's not fun and stuff, like just walk away.
Oh, there's a meme that's really good about this. I regret that we can't post pictures, but if it sucks, hit the bricks. That's a what is it? I don't remember what it's from, but I can imagine the image. It's like a skeleton walking away. Maybe we can post the image in the YouTube video.
I'll put it in the middle of the YouTube video.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll get that to you.
The meme. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it is a video game, and
Yeah.
yeah, if you're not having fun, if the people you're with are just kind of like a buzzkill for you, or you're not having fun, then it's okay. Step away.
And like a lot of it is just like personality match stuff too. So you could have like the right expectations as far as like hours and like ability and stuff, but like if you just aren't like driving with like the like personal aspect with the people that you're going to be rating with, it's not worth the anguish to continue putting yourself in that spot.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
so true.
I mean,
It's
from
so
my
true.
perspective, because I've done mid-core rating, I guess the second half of the first tier ish. I don't even know if
Yeah.
that was mid-core quite, because there was whatever. I'm not gonna go through that entire what happened there. It's fine. Not that it's drama. It's just not worth explaining everything. It's just yeah, we finished the tier, but then like the second tier definitely was mid-core. 9 hours a week or more. Lots of yeah. It was a good time, but then it started to feel like kind of like a job. It was not as fun for me anymore after a month. Mostly because just progression slowed down. Which sounds like, wow, it was only a month. You don't understand. We cleared the first 2 fights week 1. And by the end of the month, we were only, like, I think we finally were clearing Door Boss on the P4. Something like that. So our progression went from, man, we're rocking, this is fun, to it's been 3 weeks and we've barely gone anywhere. What's happening? It's just a rough. And then there was life stuff, and it wasn't just the raid. Like, I'm not trying to trash talk the raid at all. It wasn't that. It was just a culmination of things, and just it became not fun for me, unfortunately. So, like, now I'm thinking maybe I need to step back and be casual this next tier and just, I don't know, chill with raiding for a while.
Yeah. That
And
is a possibility.
then that goes into, if it's not fun, stop doing it, and that's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
No
taking that
shame in that.
I'm taking that step back. I'm living by the words we're preaching here. Like, I'm having to reconsider, like, because I'm also getting into the lore, which I told some friends, like, I don't really care much about the story the first time I'm playing, which sounds weird. Like, I just love to have fun and do the raids and everything. That's what excites me. But then as I get into it, I like to go back and get more into the lore and, like, learn things. And now I am with Final Fantasy. I'm really going back and I'm reading my lore book and I'm reading things, and that's where I'm finding enjoyment right now. So
Yeah.
that's rating. That's just, if it's not fun, just stop doing it. Find something else that's fun or cut back. Like,
Yeah.
find a fun group. Fun.
Yep.
Fun is the key word.
Yep.
Yeah. Because this, it's the time you're, not working or your downtime, and it should be fun. You should be having a good time. I mean, part of it for me for rating is like it is fun with a group of people. Like I love our static. But it is a challenge too for me. Like I like getting better. I like the challenge of clearing content. So those are the 2 parts of the fun aspect for me.
I enjoy it too, unfortunately, and that's why I'm torn. Like, that was
Yeah.
kind of when I wasn't rating enough to make that good prog. That good prog. I don't know why I said it like that, but
Good prog.
Good prog and bad prog.
Prog is prog, really.
It is.
But yeah, like, because that 2 days a week, it just felt like, for anyone that hasn't done it, just sometimes it feels like, you're gonna have this 4-day break, usually at some point, and you feel like the day you come back is just everyone relearning how to do things again, because you've had this big long break. And so 3 days really helps, and you'll still have off days, of course, but 3 days helps reduce that, like, start over.
Lag. Yeah.
And I enjoyed that part, but it was also, I was dreading logging in to raid at a point. So I don't,
not fun.
and I don't know. I also hate White Mage. I was progging White Mage and not enjoying it at all. I didn't like. I'm not doing it again. I've told myself I'm not doing it again. I'm not progging on White Mage again.
Don't.
Yeah.
I always chicken out because I said that last tier too, and then I ended up on White Mage.
No.
Yeah, I know. It's because it's easy. So for prog, it's pretty straightforward.
I get
And it helps the
sort of
team because Astro is what I want to prog on, but that can be a bit rough. In general. because it's
Eh,
just a very, very busy class.
Cards.
It's the
Yeah.
busiest healer by far.
hmm
it is, but again, if it's fun, then it's fun.
Yeah,
But
that's, yeah, I don't know why. I just wanted to share this to be relatable.
yeah, no, I get that. I think, I don't know, for recruiting posts, I think some typical red flags I would see on recruiting posts is like usually saying must have like orange or better if you're not like hardcore or
Yeah,
even
that's,
purple or
yeah,
and
I
not
would,
hardcore. That's you gotta check yourself there.
Yeah.
I could see
Um,
it being not, I could see that not being a red flag if you're like, yo, we're kind of mid-core looking to be hardcore. We're looking for this level. Like, I don't know.
yeah,
But still,
I mean,
it's kind of,
That's pretty high.
if you're looking for
yes.
3 days a week and you want everyone orange or something, or even purple all
Ooh.
the time, that's, yeah, all right. Chill.
Yeah, yeah. I think another flag for me is like we're like a family.
oh.
No, you're not.
Like sometimes the red flags are very similar, like job description red
Yeah,
flags.
yeah.
It's like we're like a family here, no drama. It's like
That's, those are
mm,
always, oh gosh.
That's
Yes,
pretty
that is
suspicious.
number
that is
one
sus.
red flag is
Sus.
they say in there, no drama. That is going to be the most dramatic group.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Without
no,
fail,
without a doubt.
every single time.
yeah, no drama is like, yeah.
Because my group, we never said, oh yeah, we're a drama-free group. I never said that.
No,
I never thought to put that, because,
I never say that.
no.
I will say, however, I will make it abundantly clear that we will not tolerate racism, sexism, transphobia, or anything like that at all. And usually that will like filter out people. So
It's
Yeah,
kind of
gosh, I'm just
sad that it
thinking,
does.
you
it
could,
does, but
that
I'll
is
make it
actually,
so clear.
you could just
So
label your
clear.
group as woke.
Oh my god.
This is a woke raid group. And then,
Oh my
bam, you just filtered out a whole bunch of people. Easy.
man.
You probably just
Yeah.
get hate messages though. That'd probably be,
Oh
wow, you're
I-
woke. Wow, like, why are you
my
messaging me,
God.
sir?
But yeah, I'll usually when I post a recruitment post, it'll be something like we won't tolerate
Yeah.
that, and the way we handle like criticism or is like it's constructive, and if you say you're doing this wrong, I'm like that is not constructive. You need to say like you could be doing this better by this is what helps me, here's a good resource,
Mhm.
not like blame game. We're not doing that.
Yeah, especially because a lot of times that blame game is during raid. Meaning it's never good mid raid. You're trying to do the
No.
pulls and stuff, and then someone's like calling you out on the floor because they're so badass. But mid raid,
Yeah,
it just makes the
doesn't
whole group
help.
awkward, and it's just
Yeah.
weird. That keep it to like in between raids. That's always the best time. Message someone, hey, you've been having issues on this part. It's been consistent. Do you need like a toolbox? Do we got to talk about it? Be an adult.
Yeah.
That's, yeah. But you can
Yeah,
kind of
I
get
think-
that vibe from people in the recruitment if they're gonna.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess that'd be something to watch for if you're in a trial. That's a big red
Mhm.
flag if there's massive criticism, like unless it's a joke. Like, let's not. Sometimes you have those groups like, "Hey, you stood in the fire again, you idiot," and like, "Oh, whatever." Not, I don't. That was a terrible example, but if a group's having a laugh about it, like, yeah, that's obviously, vibe check.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
For sure. It'll happen. Like usually for when we trial people, I will give them some like grace because you might be nervous. It's a whole new group of people. and you're nervous. And so, if you get clipped by something that you normally wouldn't have or something, like I'm like, whatever. It happens. It happens to all of us.
Even sometimes it's like when we did a trial, the guy said you should have showed up prepared because we hadn't run the fight in 3 weeks.
Wait, the person you trialed?
Yes,
told
they got
you?
mad at us
Ooh.
because we wiped on some
Yikes.
stuff. It was when we were doing P4S
Oh.
with them as a trial,
Yeah.
and we just messed up some stuff because it had been literally like 3 weeks since we had run it, or a month. It'd been a while. And we told them that. We're like, well, we're going to be, shaking off the rust a bit here, but, we're just checking it out, seeing how things go. And then they got mad at us because we didn't. We're like, it's not that kind of trial. We're okay, bye.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
sorted itself out.
Yeah.
Yep, it
So
surely
that was
did.
a red flag that saw itself out the door.
Yeah, I guess it's like at the end of the day, it's just like be kind, be courteous.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
It's just, yeah, I've gotten some wild messages from recruitment posts. It's interesting. Let me tell you.
And maybe you're one of those people. Maybe you are the red flag listening right now.
Oh my gosh.
And they know it, though. Like, usually they know. They just don't care. And,
Yeah,
you'll find your red flag group and you all will do your thing and have a great time for, I don't know, until the red flags accumulate.
Yeah.
I was gonna say until you implode at a slow prog point, and then everyone just implodes up
Yep.
together.
Disband.
Disband. That, I guess to go into that, statics, they can break. They can break apart.
Yeah.
And it happens. Either, people maybe are stepping away from the game, or maybe people either want to drop maybe more casual or more hardcore, play a different job which doesn't fit in the static. Like all these different reasons that a static might not work out. Or people just personality conflicts, just abundant. That can happen too. So just be mindful if you do join a static. There's always that small potential that it might not see its way through to the end of the tier or beyond.
Yeah.
Yep.
It can happen, unfortunately,
I've been there.
but it
I
happens.
know.
Oh.
I've been every side of these things.
Oh
Goodness.
gosh, it's pain.
But yeah,
But
it does happen. It's
It does.
something you just have to be aware of and possibly ready for. Hopefully not. Hopefully
Yeah.
you never have to be, but you will, because this is the world, and
This is the world.
these are people.
Yeah.
Things will happen. Period. It's
Mhm.
just
I mean, even with our static, we've had like most of us have been pretty solid for the past, all of Endwalker, but we've had some slots that have kind of been like a revolving door.
defense against the
Which
dark arts positions. Yeah.
We've had a new defense against the dark arts professor every single time. No. But yeah, sometimes it just feels like that, and you just have people kind of coming and going. And that's just the way it goes, because life happens, and it's a video game.
And, like, you can recover from that type of stuff. Like, especially like if you know what resources are available, you can kind of hit the ground running and find another place or find someone to fill. It makes the process a lot less painful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Oh.
Do we hit any
Static.
other? I think we covered red flags pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, just make sure like the expectations match
Yeah.
what you want. And maybe before you even step foot into recruitment is really think about your priorities in a static. What do you want?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you want to clear at a decent rate, or do you want to find like a good group to sort of hang out around with and maybe do other content outside of Savage with? Are you looking for like a sort of learn, progress, and clear static in which maybe it's a mix of veteran players and like new players? Like, so really think about your expectations and what you want out of a static before joining.
Yep. And that can be, it's more difficult than it sounds sometimes.
It is.
Like just trying to think of like, what exactly you want. but yeah, just
Yeah.
spend some time, look at other recruitments and think, does that sound like something I want to do?
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, just feel it out a little bit.
And then
Yeah.
you really have to be honest with yourself and like what you can actually comfortably do. Because it's
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, we all want to accomplish the goal, but like, if I have this job that eats up all of my time, would it actually be feasible for me to like dedicate this number of hours to a static each? So sort of like things like that. And it's like it's okay if you can't dedicate like that number of hours. It's just you might want to find a static that is going to be able to accommodate or that has the number of hours that would be comfortable for your personal like schedule.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Yeah, I think for me, like, because I kind of see, like, as a player, I'm, like, always trying to figure out, like, how many hours should I be putting into this? And then as a raid leader, it's like, you kind of want to be the motivator, like, we're doing great, everyone, keep up with this, look at this, blah, blah, blah. And so sometimes finding that balance and, like, what do you really want out of it? It can be a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I just had a moment of if anyone's seen The Notebook.
Have not.
Nope.
Well,
Sorry.
dang it. Well, it's kind of an iconic scene. A lot of people know the scene when he's like, "What do you want?" And she's like, "I don't know. What do you want?" Like,
I don't know.
it's kind of like you with the raid and everything. So, what do you want? I don't know. You're asking yourself. Just it's that
Yeah,
popped into my head thinking about it
yep,
because
it's true sometimes.
yeah,
I think so. If you're ever thinking about being a raid leader, um, it's probably more work than you realize. I'm just gonna say that. I think it's probably more work than you realize because one, you have to come up with raid plans of like which mech are we gonna do? How are we gonna do it? What do people actually need to study? The second part is scheduling. Scheduling savage.
Oh,
Because that can be really hard to get 8 people to have the stars align for their schedules and like hours that fit different time zones and maybe some other considerations. So you have to be a scheduling master.
that's because I didn't do much of that with Final Fantasy rating, but with
Yeah.
WoW rating I did, and when I played other games, because I was hardcore into FIFA, and we played FIFA teams, so that was scheduling for 8 to 10 people, and that
Yep.
was
oof.
that was European time zones and North American time zones because we all played together,
Mm.
and it's like a
It's
mental spreadsheet in your head 24/7.
it is. It can be. Yeah, so scheduling you have to deal with. And the other part too is like sort of like the interpersonal things too between either individual members acting as a mediator, handling
Mm-hmm.
people feeling burnt out or handling people that, are maybe getting impatient with slower prog because of like X reason. Or, people that are like, I'm leaving. And just kind of dealing with that. And you are sort of a counselor and a coach in one.
Yeah, I was gonna say the people management part is probably the biggest part,
Yeah.
because in the end, like managing which strat you're doing and whatnot is not the most stressful part for me. Maybe you found that stressful, Jack, but because overall, like you might try a strat and it's not working, and it's not super difficult to find more strats and be like, you know what, let's give this one a shot and talk to the group about it. But when it comes to, oh, there's interpersonal issues with the group, that's
Oh,
the worst. It's the worst. It's the most
Yeah,
difficult thing to handle in the group for me, I find, is that.
it can be.
Can be anyway, not every time. And sometimes,
Yeah,
the group's fine, but
yeah. I think probably the most common thing that'll come up is when people feel like we should be progressing faster than what we are.
mm-hmm.
Um, and so usually what I'll say is just like, okay, like I will always say what our clear goal is. and I will give it padding. Because stuff will come up, maybe you hit a rough spot, etc. So for us, our clear goal was before the odd number patch for Savage Tier. And I think that's plenty doable with our skill and the time we're putting in. And I'm like, that's comfy. Like, we clear before the odd number patch, like, we got time, we can do it. And so if someone comes to me and is like, we're not progressing fast enough, I'd be like, I'm sorry you feel this way. Like it can feel like that sometimes, and some parts in the fight are a bit slow, but this is what we put as our clear goal. Yeah, like if
The
you want to help out,
organization is meeting its planned goals.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah. No, that's
honestly,
yeah.
if your static doesn't have a clear goal set out, maybe ask about it if you're applying to one, they don't have a clear goal, because I think if someone's like, oh, from 6.2 to 6.4, that's our like rating time. That's our clear goal. And that's over the span of like months.
That's a while. Yeah.
It is a while. But then, it's like more casual, more laid back.
Mm-hmm.
If someone's like, we aim to clear month 1, then they're probably like trying to hit the gas pedal a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then for us, sort of in the mid-range, like clear before the odd number patch. And we did clear, I think, well before the odd number patch.
Yeah.
And it worked out fine. And we hit it, and it was comfy. We were all happy about it. So
I would say a yellow flag
a
to bring
yellow
up in
flag.
this. It's not quite a red
Yes.
flag, but a yellow flag is a group that they can't give you any clear expectation.
Oh,
I won't quite call it a red flag because maybe
Yeah.
they just don't know themselves. Like they're just, who knows? Maybe they're a bit newer and
that's true.
But it's a yellow flag because it's definitely like, oh, we clear when we clear. That never works. That will never ever work. Someone's gonna not be on the same page of
Yep.
because maybe they're in their mind, we clear when we clear means, oh yeah, we'll be done within a month and a half, no problem. But the other guy's
Oh,
thinking,
boy.
oh, we've got till like the next tier, we're fine. So
Oh,
he's
no.
big
Yeah.
chilling. And then
my
that's
gosh.
that's where you get real clashes and issues.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So when
So-
when you hear we'll clear when we clear,
No.
it's
Be
probably
careful.
That's true.
ask a few more questions.
Yeah.
Well, how long have you been raiding? If they say, "Oh, I'm brand new," okay, I could give you some slack. Or "Oh, I don't know. I've never really been in a static. I've only done Party Finder, so I'm not sure. I just want to try it and see where it goes." Then that's when you're like, "Okay, well, after a couple weeks, maybe we revisit this and see if they'll
Mhm.
do that." Like you got to have that conversation because not having
Yeah.
that expectation clear for everyone will turn into a problem. Period.
It will.
People get frustrated.
Yep. It'll happen. Yeah, like I said, we just kind of do the odd number patch. Could we clear like month 1? Sure. Do we want to? Probably not. Like
Hmm.
we'd probably have to raid 12 to 15 hours a week, assumedly, or something like that. And if you put that goal out, like we want to clear month 1, then you might be squeezing in more raid days.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's why I'm like, comfy. Know everyone's sort of ability level or schedule, and just kind of go from there.
That felt like an issue with my raid group this past tier. We did have the clear, we said 2 months. But I guess the problem was we cleared so fast on the first few fights early that
Yeah.
we felt like we were going to go faster.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then we didn't. And we hit
Yeah,
that wall. So that's, but it was also like the raid leader just, hey, we said 2 months, we're on target. But it was also like, morale feels a bit hurt here because we did start so fast. We were jiving, we were feeling it, man. We were just, we're so good at the
Yeah.
game. And then,
No,
Yeah.
wrong.
incorrect.
I feel like that happened with a lot of people
Yeah.
this tier.
Yeah,
I
this
think
tier,
so.
like 7 and
It
8,
kind of happens
just-
too.
7 and 8 had certain walls that you just
Oh, Harvest, come on now.
Oh my god.
famine and all. Go
Yeah.
away.
Oh no, not the snake.
But
Snake,
yeah,
it's a snake.
it'll happen. Like for me,
Hmm.
when I look at the last fight, I'm gonna assume P12S. Like we're probably gonna blaze through 8, 9, 10. Or
Mhm.
no, not 8, 9, 10, 11. I have
Yep,
a
yep.
feeling we'll blaze through those. But I'm honestly probably the same pace would be a month for door boss if they have one, and then a month for the final boss.
Hmm.
And just say that. That's probably what it's gonna be because that's historically what we've been.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to
'Cause
trying the new raid, actually. Now that we're talking about it, like, I'm just...
Oh gosh.
The story's
Um,
interesting.
God,
It
yeah, I've been
is.
really invested.
I definitely am like what's gonna happen? Like in the whole tying in with Shadowbringers too, I'm just like just like give it to me. Like give me
Yeah.
the story, give me the lore. Please.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing also for anyone newer with the raids. They're not, well, okay, Coils of Bahamut did have implications with the main story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that was a Realm Reborn specific thing, because so did the Alliance raids. Less important later. Right. Interesting
Yeah.
lore, though. Definitely some interesting lore, especially the Heavensward Alliance raids. Very
Oh
interesting
yeah.
lore.
If you're
Mhm.
what is it, Final Fantasy is it 12?
No, that was the Stormblood Alliance raids.
Yeah. Heavensward Alliance raids. Oh, that was
That was the
yeah. I don't want to spoil. I don't know if it
Oh, I
correlates.
remember.
I don't
I
know if
don't
it
know
correlates
which
to another
Final
Final
Fantasy.
series it correlates to.
yeah, I don't know which one it correlates to. I just know I now know the history of it because of my lore book I've been reading.
It's very
Um,
interesting, though,
yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Like,
it was the one I skipped though.
oh yeah,
Like I did it, but I skipped most of the cutscenes, and I just kind of was getting like, oh, this is kind of a thing here. Okay, cool. But now I'm reading the
yeah.
lore book, and they went into a deep dive of the origins. So
That's cool.
now I want to go back and redo all the story stuff for that and see what they said in
That's
game about
something
it.
I need to do.
Yeah,
But yeah, I guess Stormblood Alliance raids are based on Final Fantasy 12,
I believe so.
and
Yeah.
then, and then
Yeah.
Shadowbringers Alliance raid based on Nier game.
Okay, those have like okay, so so while the Alliance raids don't have MSQ stuff, they do have very good lore just for the world in Final Fantasy 14. Except maybe
Yeah.
Stormblood, maybe. I'm not too sure. Well, that one did have implications for different lore things within the world. Near like the Shadowbringers Alliance raids were just kind of their own thing.
It was their own thing.
It was weird.
They happened.
They
It was
happened.
entertaining and fun, but
They are fun.
they
raids.
were kind of there.
Actually, my favorite raid series, like Alliance raid series, was Shadowbringers.
Yeah.
Loved it. So cool.
Yeah.
The Nier vibes, the music, and just it was.
Mhm.
Oh, I loved
cool.
it.
It felt like you were in a different world with your
Yep.
Warrior of Light.
And that means the lore made no sense for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
You do not need that story whatsoever. But all the other ones do have, connecting threads with things in the world that could make the MSQ make like, oh yeah, I have this background now, but not really. MSQ is going to make sense on its own.
Yep.
But the normal raids also have interesting, like, more deep dive information on a bunch of things. So
Yeah.
they're just very cool to do. And if you can take the time to watch the cutscenes and learn about them, pretty much worth doing. But I also understand if you just want to rush and, mash your escape key so you can unlock them so you can go play with your friends, whatever. Kind of get that too. But they're worth going back because you can. You can go back and, watch them later.
Yeah.
It's fun. Didn't expect that to have the raids have that like extra lore. That was really nice.
Yeah, and I think current Endwalker definitely does tie into the main story more so than other normal raid series.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
Uh,
definite implications going on.
mhm. I guess we could move on and talk about ultimates real quick.
It's yeah, I'd say yeah.
So ultimates, those are like the hardest fights in the game. Those are above Savage raid level. Ultimates are very long fights too, typically on the frame of like 14 to 20 minutes. I'd highly recommend that you finish a Savage tier current before doing ultimates. Some may disagree with me on this, and that you could probably do Uwu without a lot of like Savage experience, but it also will be quite a learning curve.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely a steeper curve.
Yeah, it is. But to be comfy with it, I would suggest doing a Savage tier that's current and get through that, and then start dipping your toes into Ultimate. As what we're currently doing right now. We finished Uwu, which I would say is, I think, in the community wise, the ultimate weapon, ultimate Uwu, is probably a good entry level ultimate fight.
It's the usual that people point to. I've heard UCOB can also be it's up there because they were
Yeah,
released around the same. They were released in the same expansion, so they're
yeah.
kind of on that same level playing field, and they're older, which means.
There's a little bit more jank.
Yeah.
But also the DPS checks are lower because you're just doing more damage than you were, even synced down. You do more damage
Yeah, because
because
like
of potency bloat and stuff.
yeah, potency bloat, and like they've changed jobs around so they're not the same as they were
Mm-hmm.
back then. And you do get the benefit of like, I don't know, is better food and stuff too.
Yeah, I think the food.
Infinite
I'm.
guides.
I don't think it
Infinite
scales
guides.
down.
There's a lot of resources for them too. So I'd say to start Uwu or UCOB, which stands for the Unending Coil of Bahamut, which is based on a Realm Reborn raid series, and then Uwu is based on like
The
a Realm
trials.
Reborn. Yeah.
Yeah. That's basically
And
what
then
all of them are. It's a trial series and a raid series
raids.
from the expansions. That's what the ultimates are.
Yep. And then beyond that, I'd say like Uwu UCOB are like good starting points. And then sort of mid tier is T, which we're doing currently. The Epic of Alexander Ultimate, based on Heaven's Ward stuff. And yeah, I mean we're in it right now. I think we're progressing at a good pace, but we also have like Uwu experience and Savage experience under our belts. And then to go even further
Further beyond.
into why did I sign up for this? Is Dragon Song Reprise Ultimate DSR, or the most current one is the Omega Protocol, aka
Oof.
Top. And those two fights, I do not, and I don't think anybody will disagree with me on this. I do not recommend stepping into those two fights as your first ultimate. Do not. Do not. I did not stutter.
Yeah, I think you'd have a really stressful time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you would even clear. I feel like the static. I don't know. It depends on like what type of static you find, but like it might be rough.
We were progging Uwu in my group, and we kind of did a vote, and we wanted to run DSR, so we did. And we did okay, but we also, when I say like we were progging Uwu, we were all the way to the final like phase area, which kind of, hindsight, we should have just cleared. We were getting close. But all of us
Yeah.
wanted the experience of running like a new
On current
ultimate,
Ultimate.
and we were doing okay. We were actually progging it at a decent rate, but then some people got burnt out, and it just we stopped going. And then it took me forever to finally get that ultimate clear uwu. So if you have decently progged uwu, because I stepped into DSR and it did not feel, it was harder. Don't get me wrong, but I
What
had
did you
enough.
get to
Huh?
in DSR? What phase did you get to?
I'm trying to remember. It was a phase.
Okay.
It's terrible. We were progging when the dudes. No, we did that part when they all dash and do the crisscross, and you've got to got that tiny little spot.
Yeah.
We did that, and so we were doing the meteor thing. We were starting to see that. Does that make sense? When everyone spreads out, I don't know. We only saw that part like 2 or 3 times before we stopped. Because it was,
Yeah.
that was about the quit point.
To also say, ultimates, they typically have like a recipe pattern. Like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, like doable. And then once it hits like phase 4, phase 5, that's when it's like, holy hell, the difficulty ramps up. It's like, and top phase 5 is literally, some people say like the amount of time they prog top phase 5 is like the entirety of the rest of the whole fight. At the other parts of the whole fight.
So I guess in phase numbers, I was at towards the end of phase 2.
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
it was Big King Boy.
So you had Thor, yep.
With King Boy.
Yep.
He was when his other little boys, when they're doing all their madness. I think that's towards the end, because right after that mechanic is like the DPS check of crushing him, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I know where you were at.
You had a lot more way to go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we were working through that. I guess some more uwu experience would have helped with that, because some of the final mechanics were relatable. I mean, not the same exact thing, but they were similar-ish.
Yeah. I think a lot of, if you're used to some of the mechanics from UCOB, uwu, and T, it'll serve you in DSR and top. So like for example, UCOB and trios. Yeah, kind of similar to top. A little bit, has some flavor in there. So yeah, hence why maybe doing earlier ultimates before doing DSR and top might be. It'll probably help your prog faster, I would say. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it would help you prog faster.
And plus, all the weapons look pretty cool from
They do.
So many of them, so it's a bit worth if you want something that looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're a new player and you see people running around with these weapons that glow even when they're like unsheathed, they're probably from an ultimate fight. And that's the reward for doing ultimate fights. You don't get like, I don't know. You don't get gear. You get a weapon that you essentially just use to glam over your current weapon.
Yeah.
Or I guess if you do it on current tier.
Yeah, if you do it current, it's kind of Abyss. Best in slot for anyone that's not familiar with the terminology. Yeah, they're really good at current, but beyond that, no, they're glam. But they're always a cool glam.
They are.
Along with relics. Just if you see another glowy thing and you're not, it's also could be a relic.
Let's see. What are your opinions on ranking of the ultimate weapons? Best to worst.
Oh, I haven't even thought about that. Like it's, I think the T ones just look so cool. I've always liked them.
T is best.
They are I think T are my favorite.
Yeah.
I would say top and uwu are sort of tied.
The Uwu ones, like the YouTube videos I saw of it, did not do it justice. I don't know what was wrong with the compression algorithm or what, but just some of the glowiness and everything was completely lost on the
They're very
YouTube
pretty.
videos. Yeah, they
They
look
are
really cool in game.
I think top weapons, I've had the opposite effect. I saw them like in a video. I'm like, oh wow, those look really cool. And then I saw them in person. I'm like, they're
Oh.
okay. I don't think they're terrible, but they also look kind of grainy in person.
Mm.
When they're unsheathed, they look amazing. But when they're sheathed, I'm like, it looks a little grainy. I think you're missing a pixel or two.
Oh no.
And then I would say DSR, then UCOB weapons. That's my rank. Those are my rankings.
UCOB, I don't. Doesn't that basically just kind of look
It's
like
just
the
yellow,
ultimate weapons,
right?
but orangish
call 'em-
yellow?
Yeah.
Yellow, gold.
Yeah, it's kind of eh.
They were the first ones to give it, a
Yeah,
break. But
they,
yeah, I
yeah,
would
they were.
say Uwu and Top Tide, and then DSR, and then Uwu. Or sorry, UCOB.
Having not really like looked at them and thought about it too much, I would pretty much agree. Because T to me just those were so cool. They're really
Best
good.
weapons in the game.
Yeah.
I think so. The gears and just like the color,
Mm-hmm.
pretty.
Gorgeous.
I remember because I was new and I saw it and I was like, whoa, that looks cool.
Yep.
I'd probably go with T, and then top, because if you look really closely, there's there's this little glyph in the like effects when you unsheath the weapon. There's a glyph that looks like an Among Us, and I would love to have my own personal little Among Us with me at all times. So that's why top is my second favorite. The rest kind of fall in place what the others have said, but I want my little Among Us.
That's fair.
Oh god.
That's fair.
Yeah. Mogus. Oh gosh. But yeah, ultimates, they're definitely a time commitment.
And also, like, just as because if you're running some Savage and you think, well, I'm running Savage on Ultimates, just a longer fight. Some people will say that, and I don't know, like, what they're smoking when they say that, because it's not. It is not the same. Because I ran some Savage.
It's a lot faster.
It's
Savage
way
is
faster.
slow.
The speed of... So, like, here you go, free little tip. I won't really spoil a whole bunch, but in Uwu, in the first one, there was a scream, and then this stuff falls out of the sky and hits you, and, like, you could survive it, but generally, definitely avoid that.
Yeah.
But the speed of scream to stuff falling, there's basically, you have to listen. You have to hear it and run. Because if the scream goes off and you wait for the little red circle to pop up, you're already in it. You're done. Yeah, it's super fast. And that was like a big learning curve for me, was that speed.
Yeah, I think ultimates, you really have to tune into visual and audio cues without projected marking, like AoE marks and stuff. You just have to know.
Yeah, it's a big step up, and having to be prepared for the next thing coming.
Yep.
It's definitely a big step up from Savage, because even Savage moves way faster than normal. So there is a progression there, clearly. And so, it's fun. Ultimates they're pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say as a player, even for me now, like, we've done Savage. Yeah, like, okay, like, some Savage fights are kind of like a yawn. So, like, P1S, kind of a yawn for me.
Oh boy.
But, like, going into Ultimates, it's always like, sometimes it's like, did I press my button at the right time I usually do? If not, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Said the Dark Knight.
Oh boy.
But yeah, sometimes it's timings of everything, and like how you align your mitigation has to be scripted, otherwise
Yeah.
you're gonna die. Um and it's a longer fight too. So
Yep.
there's definitely fatigue at the end, and everyone says kind of like, some ultimates have a victory lap where the last phase is kind of a little bit easier, but you still have to like survive and do mechanics, and like you kind of get the shakies, you're nervous, you're so close to the clear, and everyone's like, "Oh, we're there," and then you see like the 1% wipe, and then it's like heartbreaking.
Oh, oh gosh.
Or point two.
Yeah,
No.
it's happened to all of us. It's
Yeah.
happened to all of us.
It's
So painful. It's like, oh, I wish I had my dot still. Maybe we would have had a chance. Oh.
a lot of those though, like at point two, it's so small. That's still a good chunk of health.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. It's just, man, it happens though, and you're like,
Mhm.
man, 15 minutes into the fight,
Yep.
wipe at point two. It's just like, oh,
I still
are we doing it?
remember the end of. I just tried to make the end of Uwu fun just for myself. I always just have this thing of like, this isn't the clear. Just keep pushing the buttons. Like, just don't think about the clear. And it eventually turned into, I would scream "no suck," because I was, as the scholar, I always was the lowest damage, just because the phase right before that was a lot of damage, and I'm having to shield like crazy, and I don't have OGCD shields. I'm just spamming shields, trying to keep everyone going, because it's an intense part. It's there's a lot going on, but then at the end, it's just a DPS run, and the person with the lowest damage is the first person that gets sucked up into a ball, and then you can't do anything. So it turned into me screaming "no suck," like of me not getting sucked into a ball because we kill it before that starts happening, and that became my only goal, was don't get sucked up.
Gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Eating my fairy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely some endurance of just like concentration and just memory of phases and
And that
ultimates and
is actually the hardest part for me with a lot of it, because I don't, as people I'm sure maybe noticed or maybe not, so I don't know, but I have ADHD and it can get really hard. Like, it can take a lot out of me to stay focused long enough to do things like that.
yeah. So yeah, ultimates hardest fights in the game. If you're a new person, would recommend doing that possibly later in your raiding career.
Yeah.
They're definitely fun. So when
They
you're
are fun,
ready,
It's
and you
not
get
give it a
the,
try.
even if like, if you're just committed to the hardcore, like you love doing that hard stuff, you can jump into it. Like Uwu, you can absolutely start. We
Sure.
recommend run some savages and stuff and really get a feel for it, but you can start running it pretty early, because if you're committed, you're into the
That's
game. Like,
yeah. Just look at Mike.
mhm.
Yeah.
Brawl just clears Uwu before any savage.
He's
Yeah,
progging top right now. Just got into, what was it, phase 5?
Yep.
yeah,
He's cruising.
it's doable if you've got the
And he's
mindset and you're feeling it. Like,
yeah.
especially Uwu, there's so many learning parties out there still and stuff. It's
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd say you could probably party finder it. Might be a little painful, but it's doable. I'd say DSR on top. Nah.
yeah,
Like
those are a bit. Yeah.
it'll be hard to party find. For sure.
But what about resources to get people ready for that stuff? Getting better.
Oh gosh. There's so many. So if you do look on fflogs.com and you see your character, I'm not saying you uploaded it, but maybe somebody did.
Mm-hmm.
You can look and see, how did you parse? Was it gray? Was it blue? Was it green? And if it's current, you can go to something called xivanalysis.com and plug in that fight, and it can tell you where you can improve GCD by GCD.
Mm-hmm.
That had been a really huge tool for me to like get better at getting all my burst out the door when cooldowns were up and not keeping my GCD rolling and all that kind of stuff.
Little disclaimer, I guess. On a bunch of older fights, but mostly the ultimates if you're scaling, but if you're scaling down to any fight, it doesn't quite do it right.
No.
So it'll tell you didn't use this ability, and you're thinking, I don't have it. I was level 70. What are you talking about? It doesn't really get that, so you kind of have to read between the lines a little bit of this doesn't count, but it
Yeah.
does give you an overview,
It's true.
where you were missing things, and it'd be very helpful.
Yeah.
The balance Discord is great for all kinds of. It's kind of a lot to go through. I barely ever do it because there's just so much stuff and finding what I
Sure.
want. But there is a lot of rotation guides, farming your gear and BIS stuff, and there's
Mhm.
a lot of information for you to peruse.
Yeah, I
Um,
think I use the balance mostly for BIS because they do all the number crunching essentially for you, so I don't have to like plug in my gear to some like sim or calculator. They already do it. So I'm just like, all
Yep.
right, thank you. Give
mhm.
me my BIS. Thank you. And then like openers. So some fights you can use your standard opener. Some fights you might need to use a modified opener depending on how the fight timeline goes. And so sometimes the balance is good at like identifying those for you. But outside of that, that's kind of what I use the balance for.
Yeah, it's pretty much when I've like just gone in and looked at BIS. What is it?
Yeah.
Although now I
What is
use
it?
Icy Veins.
Icy Veins has like, and I think it's kind of based off of Salted XIV and the balance sort of together.
It's mostly now because Salted kind of died.
Yeah,
So
there was
it's
some.
been because I was checking them and they were still updating and it was pretty much balanced stuff. So I just go to Salty. I mean, not jeez, Icy Veins because
Icy
they
Veins.
got the stuff. They got the goods. It's good enough. I'll run it.
Yeah.
It's
And if you're a WoW player, you're used to Icy Veins already.
it's kind of wild because on Astro, that was kind of one of the things that made me a little nervous. They were still back and forth on what BIS was for an Astro.
Oh, geez.
It was and like, what's the best opener? Is this how you want to do it? Do you want to hold this for this part? And, like, it was mostly around Astrodyne and how to use that properly. I don't know if they agree still. it's we had
Is
Astrodyne
it
changes
just
at the
blue?
beginning of Endwalker, and it's still like, yo, well, no, it's kind of better if you hold it in this fight at this point during this section because of this thingy coming up. And I'm like, I don't. What?
Oh
Can y'all
gosh.
just tell me real quick? Like, what's
It
the
feels like
priority?
is the dress blue or gold?
Oh my
Yeah, it's
gosh.
kind of. To be fair, their argument, it's not, I mean, their debate and discussion about it, we're talking like a 0.15%
Yeah.
change in
Mhm.
DPS. It was
Yeah.
not huge. You could just sit there and mash the buttons and still almost get there.
Yeah, I mean, and essentially a crit diff will make or break you more so than that.
Yeah.
Well, that was, well, the tough part with Astro is so much of your damage is the cards
Oh yeah.
that it's like someone else's crits can make or break your friggin' parse.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's terrible. I
It's
might be stressed playing that.
Yeah,
it's a bit
pretty
rough.
much Dancer and Astro and Bard. Like if you don't have a group that's like pumping, good luck.
You're never gonna have great parses
No,
because even Astro's base damage is the lowest in the game.
it is. It really is.
If you don't have the cards, you're a joke.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
because when I looked at base damage, so just like no cards, whatever, just the raw damage, the Astro was at like 4,000, and all the other healers were over 4,800.
No.
Yeah. It was
So
like
sad.
it was so
Oh.
low, but then the cards were insane. It was like 1200 extra DPS or something.
Yeah. I mean, truly a support class.
Yeah. And it's fun. That's why I enjoy it. But
It is fun.
this is what it takes to get better at the game, though, is understanding how that works. You don't have to be a calculus big brain every second figuring it out. Like, I'm not. You'll be able to play the game. You just might not be a god tier parser, but you'll
Yeah.
clear content. But it is good to
you
look
don't have
at.
to be.
It's good to look at the rotations and understand how it all works, so you can
Yeah.
play the best you can.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I guess the biggest, like, the first step into getting better is just to keep your GCD rolling. That's it.
Always be casting.
Mhm.
Press your GCD buttons and then figure out where your weaves need to happen. And that's the starting point. And then beyond that is like, all right, which weaves and what is my burst window? And then looking at that, and then that's kind of how you grow from that. Because obviously I was like the Dark Knight tank, thinking like my mitigation cooldowns were GCDs and they were not. So I had like, 10 weaves in a row because,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
did not know.
That was me with those cards.
Oh.
Card draw, redraw, redraw, play. Card draw, redraw, play.
You're just over there playing like a whole card game.
Shuffling and dealing. Just,
Uno.
Oh my gosh. So other good resources that you'll see floating around are toolboxes, and they'll basically just be diagrams of different raid mechanics going out during like the sequence of the fight. So toolboxes are helpful. Raid plans. And another good thing, if you're like on a specific fight, on a specific role, just search it in YouTube and just be like, this savage fight, main tank point of view, you'll find it. And then you can just see that person clearing the fight. And you'll get kind of like what it looks like, maybe what buffs and debuffs, and maybe where they're putting their burst window in. And you can just see how other people are doing it.
And as a side note of how that can look if you're a white mage, don't bother. Because there isn't any of that. No one cares. You're a white mage.
Are you serious?
There are no white mage POVs?
I guess there's POVs, sure. I mean, like, what's their burst windows and everything? There's none of that.
Oh.
What's the opener like? Well, cast
Glare.
glare at 1.5 seconds before pull, and
I mean, Sage's is pretty much the same
That's-
too.
and then
Healers.
you hit the
Those-
glare, you hit
This is-
your dot, which lets you do presence of mind into lucid dreaming, and that's your opener. That's
Ooh.
it. That's the whole thing. I just told you how to do an opener on white mage.
Oh my god.
It's so boring. They don't even put it in the balance. People are like, how do I open as a white mage? Like, you glare. Like, that's it.
Oh my.
There's
Yeah.
nothing else.
Other jobs can be a little
Oh,
hairier.
God. Astro has the full opener is, I think, I'm trying to remember how many GCDs you have to plan. It's like over 20 buttons you're mashing right at the
Oh.
opener. It's
Yeah, the busiest ones probably like Astro, Gunbreaker, Ninja.
yeah.
Sam, I'm not super familiar with Sam, but I feel like it would be.
It's
Dark
probably
Knight.
yeah.
A lot.
Dark Knight's not difficult. You just gotta hit them all.
That's the hard part.
It's not difficult because like the sequence isn't like super important, but you just have to hit them all in a time frame. But while
Or be
Gunbreaker,
a tank buster.
yeah, or
Mm.
let's put in a tank buster in there because they love to do that.
Well, Astro's playing friggin', the
Yu-Gi-Oh?
whatchamacallit. Well, you're playing with the server ticks,
Ugh.
which is so annoying. I've cussed so many times in the opener because if one card doesn't play, because it has to be like you do glare. It's not glare. I'm just blanking on the name, but it's glare effectively. Glare,
Oh.
card play, card
Malefic?
draw, glare.
Malefic.
Malefic, yes. Yeah, so you Malefic, card play, card draw, Malefic. That's how it should go, because we're like insta-casting at that point, but whatever. We're using speed of light. Don't worry about it. So we're double weaving through the whole opener, and you have to
Oh,
play the
jeez.
card, then draw, so you can Malefic and have a moment to look at the card and register what the heck it is and play it
Oh
again
my
to the right
gosh.
person. And if it,
That's pretty fast.
I've had it where I'm like mashing play, and it
It's
just
not
doesn't
going.
play, and I'm like, oh. And you literally have to sacrifice a GCD or just keep going.
Oh.
And it's awful. I've
Yeah.
missed Astrodynes on the opener because of it, because it just doesn't play
Ugh.
the card. I'm like,
I would
all right.
imagine all the times Andrew played a card on himself is because he probably
Oh.
thought he played it and then went to target the boss to Malefic.
Probably.
That's probably what happened.
Yeah, that's most
Or like the
likely.
person might have been out of range.
My
Didn't hit him.
God.
Played on self. Casting on boss. It happens. It happens.
Astrolife.
Yeah.
But that's
but yeah,
all part of getting better. And
it is.
yeah.
There's definitely some jobs that might be a little more chill. So
Yeah.
if you want to consider that as you're kind of going into rating, is if you just want to be hard hit with like the super busy, super optimized jobs like Ninja Monk, Astro, by all means go for it. If you want something a little easier to like kind of venture into Savage with a job, might consider picking a less busy one.
What would be
Yeah.
some of the like White Mage Obvious? That one's very straightforward opener. I think
I'd say
Sage's
Sage.
opener.
Sage, White Mage,
Summoner.
Summoner, Warrior.
Any of the melees kind of, I don't know.
Trying to
I think most
think.
of the melees are pretty busy.
Yeah.
I think Dragoon and Reaper would, though busy, would probably be on the sort of easier side of that.
Reaper probably.
Reaper, yeah, I could see Reaper being much more straightforward.
Ninja Sam, Monk. Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then casters. Black Mage is just a different thing. It's a different animal. And then Red Mage is, I don't think, too bad. And then for Fizz range, Machinist is weavy, but it's mostly just hit your buttons on cooldown, maybe?
I don't know. I looked at their stuff for like optimizing. I don't like it.
I don't like
But
it.
like your opener, it's a bit weavy, but I think it's doable because it's very set in stone. They're very much just a rotation class. Pretty straightforward, it looks like. But like to optimize getting damage to line up with everyone's 2 minutes is like a weird math equation of like figuring that out. And like heaven forbid you drift. It's
Oh boy.
Oh, yeah. If you drift, it's, GG.
'Cause
But I guess
it's-
that's kind of with every job, though. If you drift, you're just...
I guess
You're not-
because it's some jobs where you're building certain gauges
Yeah.
and you drift
Resource
that gauge,
Oh.
like it can get pretty.
Well, that's Reapers in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
If you either undercap, overcap your gauge, you're not gonna get the enshrouds you want. I think.
No,
I'm
that
not a
sounds
Reaper.
about right.
Yeah.
Or you get into that awkward situation where you might have to overcap because you're waiting for a 2-minute window or something. That can-
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
that's painful.
but this is advanced stuff. So
Yeah,
uh
Dancer's not too bad. I wouldn't say Bard is too bad. There's some interesting things with songs, but I don't think Bard and Dancer are too bad to start with.
no, I think
No.
those are probably the easiest in general. Just because Fizz range can like never cast. They just run around
Yeah.
Yep.
doing their
Press your
thing.
buttons.
And
Yeah.
You can kind of see mechanics a
Yep.
little easier rather than like trying to slide cast or read a melee positional or something.
Oh, jeez.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would
I
say
love it,
Fizz
man.
range is a really good spot to start in endgame
Yeah.
stuff. But again, like we're making life easier for someone. That would be the suggestion. But overall, you know, if you're really enjoying a class and you're having fun with it, like then that's the class you should go do it with.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Like, I think for our static, when people are like, well, what do we need? I'm like, what do you want to play?
Yeah.
What is fun to you? Like, play that, because you're going to be playing this for like a month or two for like 9 hours a week. Play what
Mhm.
you want to play, please.
Hmm.
Uh,
As someone that
but
was
yeah,
stuck on White Mage and hated it, yeah, you should definitely
No.
do
no,
that.
like people should play what they want and what they have fun with, because again, we're looping back to, are you having fun?
Hmm.
You should be having fun.
That's the
But
whole
yeah, all the
point.
time, like if we go and run stuff, and I'll just say, I'm tired. I'm just gonna play White Mage. That's because it's so easy. Like, just do that.
I
So
mean, I
yeah,
guess easy's like relative. For some people,
Mhm.
maybe they don't find white mage easy, but for you, it is. Um,
I don't. Out of all the healers, it has the most straightforward kit.
it does. I think Sage has a very straightforward kit, but some people might not find it so much so. So I think easy and hard are very relative terms.
Okay, I would say that shield healing in general is just a little bit more difficult because you're reactionary. You're not reactionary healing. You're preemptively healing.
Yeah.
So that's why I would
Yeah.
think of White Mage as a bit easier than even Sage. Even if it is straightforward, it's also because Sage has to predict a lot of things, and
True.
the shield doesn't help if damage already went out.
Mhm.
Well, there's
Which
a button on Sage where you can
Oh
like
boy.
your shield. Like no one saw that. No one saw my shield after the fact.
get rid of those. No, never
Yeah,
happened.
no one saw it. But yeah, it
Not a great
definitely.
feeling on Scholar though. I don't. How many times
No.
did that happen? I put big shields on everyone. Yeah, and then like the snapshot happened already. So everyone's standing there with low health and big shields. Cool.
It happens. It happens. Oh gosh. But yeah, we definitely dove into rating. Man.
Oh, one final. I wanted to go over this real quick because we forgot to mention it. There is a thing known as an Unreal.
Oh boy.
Gosh, yeah.
It's not that big of a deal.
No.
It's
It's not.
literally they take an old extreme and they bump it up to whatever the current level is. So, because a lot of times you go back and the fight isn't tuned for you. Even if you scale down, it's not tuned to current gear and stuff. So you can still kind of slap it around pretty easily. So they bump up the difficulty, they raise it to like the mechanics are the same, but it's, things hit harder and the health is all scaled to a proper level 90 fight. So it's more representative of the difficulty of the fight. So but it's an extreme. That's all it is at the end of the day. It's not
It's not
special, it's not savage, it's not ultimate. It's just an extreme bumped up for the current gear. So, but they're fun. You get cool rewards out of it, very cool rewards.
Play Blade during your
Yes,
Valhalla.
play
Oh
the
my gosh.
Blade club music. Play it. Do some Naruto hand motions. Whatever works for you, and feel out where the fox is.
You find the fox in the Valhalla.
There's a mini game you play after the Unreal, and you can spend you get these little faux leaves. Well, it's faux, but there's also a fox. So people call them fox leaves, but it's just the way. It doesn't matter. Whatever you call them, fox, faux, who cares? Those things, and you can spend them on different things. It's very cool.
Yep.
Yeah. I definitely recommend that you at least give them a try. And the Unreal that you get to run will change once in a while. So like if we're running one Unreal that was based off of this other like early extreme trial, if it's been like I don't remember exactly when they change it out, but after so long they'll usually announce in like one of the live letters like, hey, yeah, we're gonna be changing the Unreal to this on this patch, and it's like, okay,
Yep.
go to YouTube and look up the extreme version of that fight and brush up on the mechanics if you don't remember, and that you'll be good to go for the Unreal
Yep.
once it's out.
Don't some people make like an Unreal guide because they know it's
Yeah.
coming, so they'll like
Yeah.
bring out the
Yeah.
guide to make sure, hey, these are the mechanics.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because it
People do do
is
that.
literally the same as the original fight, so just look up that guide. That'll be out there.
Yep.
Mhm.
And yeah, Unreal's a good way to start into harder content too with Extreme Trials.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And even a lot of
Uh,
FCs will just do casual groups for the Unreals, I believe.
Yep.
We do. What am I talking about? I believe. Of course,
Yep.
we do it. So,
Living proof.
yeah, it's definitely a nice way to get in running with groups,
Yeah.
Yep.
and people love doing it because again, the mounts and stuff you can get from it, with
Yeah.
the leaves. It's cool.
It
It
takes
is.
some time to accumulate leaves, but just be consistent with it. Run it each week,
Hmm.
and you'll get leaves, enough leaves to get a mount or like a cute minion or something you might want.
Yeah, if you play it right, you can get like 80 a weekend minimum,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Money
Yeah.
laundering.
No. If you really want to be a gamer, if you have like an alt character and they're like geared up at like high enough level to do Unreals, you can run them on 2 characters and then just like say to yourself, okay, I really want this mount, so I'll get the faux leaves on my main character and buy the mount for myself. And then I'll just run it again and accumulate the faux leaves on my alt and then just like sell them out like millions of gills.
Yep. Yep. If you're not a crafter gatherer and you just like battle and you need some money, that is a
Me.
great way to go about it. Oh
Yeah,
god.
it's yep. I still need
It
to
is
do it
rough.
on my alt. I just haven't taken the time.
No, I haven't either, but it
But
is a
I'm
good way to
also
make quick guild.
I'm kind of spending a lot of my time. I'm prepping because I'm hoping to make some kind of content with all of us doing this, but we're trying to do a Dungeons and Dragons Final Fantasy 14 like campaign thing. Which
Yeah.
I am doing lots of work for it because I'm trying to be the dungeon master.
I believe
Yay.
in you.
We
It's
believe.
just it's a lot going on, and I want to make sure I do it right because it is about the fun of the group, and like I don't want to,
Yeah.
you know,
I get it.
I'm trying not to goof it up, and then
I don't think you will.
I don't
I think
so.
I'll be fine. I think I'm on the right track with a lot of things. I'm trying to learn a lot of lore because I think it's fun, first of all, but second, the more lore I know, the better I can improvise things, which is kind of what you need to be able to do.
Yeah. No, I'm excited and I think you'll do a great
Yeah.
job. And even if you feel like it's not perfect, I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah, we'll be having a blast.
Yeah. We're
Yeah.
going back to the fun question.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be fun, but you know, you guys have been there. It can be. There's that bit of anxiety, when you're doing
Oh yeah.
something new. It's always there.
But yeah. So this
But we're
was
gonna.
good.
Oh yeah.
Good talk about raids and what's upcoming. Not sure what next week will bring, but it'll be something good. We promise.
Mhm.
It'll be so good. Like probably the best thing we've ever done ever.
Have to keep raising the bar.
Exactly.
You
It's-
do.
it-
And if you have any suggestions, please let
Please.
us know via Twitter, YouTube, comments.
Mhm.
Let us know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we actually just want to hear from people. Like we've actually had a few people. We had a whole new person. A whole new person. Like that's so. I don't know why I put it that way. It's a whole person, like the actual.
Oh my god.
No.
Oh,
Yeah, we did have a new person join the Discord and everything
Yep.
through
Yep.
Clarissa, and they've been listening
Mhm.
to the podcast and stuff. And yeah, we'd love to get feedback from just
Yeah.
new people and meet new people
Yeah.
and all of it.
New and old players alike. Feel
Yeah.
free.
Yep.
Oh
For
yeah, for sure. But I guess that's it for the week. We're
Yeah,
pushing time.
we are. And
And
yeah.
we've-
Everyone
we've-
have a good week.
Have a great week, and we'll see you all next week.
with something good.
Something good. Promise.
It's gonna be great.